Again, you need to explain to supervisors how important this is. But if the school is willing to buy some books, then get them to take them home. So it's something that they can do in their free time as well as while they're at school. It encourages this idea of reading being for pleasure. In some cases, you may be encouraging the students to buy books. They're not extremely expensive, but those who are interested, you may encourage them to buy them and keep them for themselves. And they can even have a little book swap among themselves. There are various ways to tackle this, and I guess everyone's situation is different. So how you do it will be up to you. You need to come up with some sort of plan about how you will encourage the students to read. But at this point, it's not really important if you make a decision whether or not you're going to get your students to read. At this point, I'm encouraging you to do all these things. If you don't have an English reading habit, if you don't enjoy reading in English, I'm talking to you and asking you to try it first so that you can then talk to your students firsthand with your own experience and be sure in your own heart about whether you believe that this will help them. But again, I need to point out, please be careful what you choose. Don't go for the highest level because I'm an English teacher. Go for something easy. Start off at a very low level, just to see if you're even level 3 or 4, even if you enjoy that. It's quite possible that you will. I'm going to talk to you about some readers in a moment. There are several options that you can look at. And the internet is a wonderful thing. It's full of examples of these readers and catalogues and so on. But many of the big publishers have offices in Taiwan as well, so that you can contact them directly and they know the context that you teach in, etc. Alright, now there are some things which I would suggest we shouldn't do. One is, don't choose the readers for the students. Let them choose them themselves. It has to be their idea. Don't allow the use of dictionary. Believe it or not. Again, you need to say to students, if you are relying on a dictionary, you've got the wrong book. Take it back. Get an easier one. And as I mentioned before, being able to look at chapters online makes it very easy to test this. You can check whether they've read the whole chapter without a dictionary, then you know that they're in the right area. Don't test them. This is not intensive reading. It's extensive reading and it's reading for pleasure. So if there's any kind of test at the end of it, it defeats the purpose. Some of the readers that you can buy, the graded readers, do have comprehension questions at the end. Some don't. I guess it's a question that individual publishers make up their own mind about. I prefer if there's no questions at the end. It just becomes a normal book. It's not a book for learning English, it's a normal book. And really, 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 really bad. Don't make them read aloud in class. In other kinds of reading classes, that's a fine thing to do. I mean, but not in this case. This is not reading for public display. This is not trying to put them under pressure. Remember, what we're trying to do is release pressure. To release the pressure, to release the stress, to make them want to read. Nobody wants to read in front of a class. Sometimes they expect it and sometimes they have to, but avoid that if possible. Most importantly, don't give up. It's very easy to be very enthusiastic and then start the wrong way, or find that it's, oh well, I'm so busy, I don't have much time for this, and stop. But if you get into the habit of it, you'll find that it's effortless. You can just pick up a book and start reading any time. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a book in Mandarin. there's a great sense of achievement when you've read a book without using a dictionary. Even if it's a relatively easy book, you'll find that you're surprised at how good you feel to have got through that book so quickly, so easily, without any sort of help and without major problems. There we go. All right, now I've got the contact details here for 3 of the publishers that have offices in Taiwan. For any of you that want to follow up on that and get in touch with them. I got in touch with them all from Australia. I explained what was happening, and Cambridge University Press were the ones who responded, and they've actually been very helpful so far, but they're not the only ones. So Cambridge University Press has a publishing company here called Hua Tai Publishing, and they have their own website here in Taiwan. Oxford University Press is another one. They have a Taiwanese website, and also Pearson. They're the 3 major ones. As I said, I'm not here to promote any particular publisher or particular one, but Cambridge was very helpful to me, and I'm sure they probably would be to you, but the others may be very helpful too. I chose a bad time to be contacting them because it was Chinese New Year. So a lot of people were away. But as I say, they were very helpful. In fact, they've given me some samples of their readers to give to someone today. There are 7 different levels, and there's 1 of each level, and a calendar and a catalogue. But we'll give those, 2 people will get those later. So, in summary, I think that reading for pleasure is something that's very overlooked by teachers and by students and by organisations like schools. It's something that has been shown to have great benefit to students in all 4 skills, but there is a huge hurdle that you have to get over to get yourself motivated and interested in reading in English, but also to get your students to that point. It's not impossible. I've done it with groups of high school students, with groups of adults, but it does take a little organisation and a little bit of pushing. But as I say, start with yourself. Graded readers are a great way to go because they're specifically designed for second language speakers, for English learners. So some of the publishing companies do an easier version of a famous novel. So they might change even things like Shakespeare or Catch-22 or something like that may be written in a much simplified way. They also do biographies of famous celebrities. Some of them write books based on movies, and others don't. All the materials for Cambridge is originally written. For, I think it's Oxford has the Penguin series. Those are based. A lot of those are based on movies and novels. So each company has a different approach. So if you look online, you can decide which one is most suitable to you, which one you like best. So anyway, finally, I would just like to say, on the subject of reading, I'm going to move on to something else in a minute, but my final comment to you is please give it a go. Try for a few months and see what happens for yourself. And then, hopefully, you'll be encouraged to try and find some way in your busy teaching life to find a way to do the same with your students, to get them involved, enjoying reading. It's a great way to experience English, not as a subject, but as a way of communication and as a keyhole, as a key to cultures of other countries, not just something that you have to study. So, having said that, I just need to change my PowerPoint. Can I ask how many of you do read regularly for pleasure in English? Good. But as you can see, it's a very small number. I hope if I come back in 1 year, there'll be many more of you. I think the biggest issue is confidence. I think even among yourselves, perhaps you feel that you're not confident enough in your reading skills to actually enjoy reading in English. But believe me, you are. And you will enjoy it. Okay, one of the things that we all have to teach is numbers. Now, you teach them to young children. But when you get a little older and you're in high school and you're in vocational high school, you need to deal with quite large numbers. And research has shown, and I can tell you this from personal experience, my stepfather is from Holland. He's Dutch. And he's been living in Australia for over 50 years. And yet, whenever he sees a large number, he says it to himself in Dutch, not in English. We have staff from mainland China, staff from Hong Kong in our office. Whenever they're counting money, they count in Cantonese or Mandarin, right? So it's natural. It's funny. It's such an easy thing to learn, and yet it's such a hard thing to break down in your mind to get to the point where you're thinking in the target language when it comes to numbers. I'm going to show you what is a very easy way to teach students, and to learn yourself, I guess, enormous numbers, not just the hundreds, but well beyond, into the great space of numbers. Okay, what's this number? 1. Congratulations. Nothing, you don't need to learn anything. Oh, by the way, I want you to, when I ask you a number, I'd like you to say it so that someone next to you can hear it, or say it to somebody next to you. I want you to say it out loud rather than just, yeah, I know what that is, I'm not going to say it. How about this one? Wow. What number do people often get confused with 12? 20. Yeah, all the time. They seem quite different, but it's very, very common. This number? Good. All right. Now, small point. In some cases, you'll hear, I don't know about Canadians, but certainly Americans from the United States, sometimes drop the and they say 473. But in most cases, in Australian English, Canadian, no and. Okay. So in some places and, some places not. I'm Australian, we always use and, so I'm going to ask you to say and. 473. All right. Now, as you know, English speakers are a little bit lazy when it comes to speaking, so rather than saying and, we just go the N sound. So 473. Can you try that? Good. 473. Very good. This one? 553. Good. All right. Very nice. 288. Good. We call that a duck and 2 snowmen. Can you see the duck and the 2 snowmen? How about that number? Now, try and say that in Mandarin. Think about it in Mandarin first. Now, everyone's doing exactly what I'm going to ask you to do in English too. Counting how many. In Mandarin you're using groups or families of 4, whereas in English we use families of 3, right? Can someone please volunteer to say this number in Mandarin? Okay, good. Thank you. Yes, please. mean 473? Okay. That's a very smart way to do it. All right, but I mean, you probably think that it's almost impossible to do in English, but trust me, it's very, very easy, and we'll show you how. All right, let's look at big numbers, enormous numbers. 3 steps. Step 1, 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. Very, very simple. The second part is families. So number families, which I'll come to in a moment. The third one is to say it. So this is like a soldier. Soldiers marching. 1, 2, 3, comma. 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 So there are the numbers 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. Now the sound is comma, not coma. Your coma is in hospital, right? You don't want that. So 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. What was the next step? Families. Good. Here they are. Happy family. 1, 2, 3. Now, what are the names of the families? With the person next to you, see if you can think of the 4 families that are there between the commas. The first family is very poor. They're so poor they had to sell their family name. And now there's nothing. So they don't have a name. They're just 10, 200, 163, but no family. The second group, they're the 1,000 family. And the 1,000 family have 3 spaces as well. So they can be 10,000, 20,000, 345,000. What's the next family? Million. And again, it's only 3 numbers. So 10 million, 20 million, 563 million. And the next one? Billion. And it's the same. So when you're looking at a large number, you're not looking at one number, you're looking at several smaller numbers put together in their family groups. Okay, so there are the family groups. Here come the numbers. What's that number? 288 with no family name. This one? 649,000. Good. Excellent. Perfect. So now we've got the numbers, and they're only 3, 3, 3, and 3. It's not a big number. It's several small numbers. Starting from the left, what's that number? Say it. Perfect. Very good. Very good. So it's quite easy, isn't it? Remember that number that we saw before? That one down the bottom? It's an easy number if you just follow 3 simple steps. What's the first step? 1, 2, 3, comma, marching. When you're walking home today, walk down the street going 1, 2, 3, comma. The second step? Families. Third step? Very nice. So you can see there the numbers that you said so easily at first are only difficult when you put them together. But actually they're not that difficult. Okay, so we're going to do, where's my tickets? Where's the tickets? Do you have tickets? Oh, everybody has a ticket. Oh, good. Sorry, I didn't think you had it. All right, I'd like you to take out your ticket and look very carefully at it, because I'm going to call out a couple of lucky numbers. And the lucky numbers will win one of these kits of readers from Cambridge. Right? So there are two. You need to look and listen very carefully. Are you ready? Okay. The first winning number is 212,022,012,212. Okay? Would you like me to say it a little slowly? Okay. You can say that, you know. The first winning number is 212 billion, 22 million, 12,212. Do we have a winner? Do we have, I hope we only have one winner. Would you please read me your number? 212,212,012. Perfect. Thank you. What's your name? Sally. Congratulations, Sally. Beautiful number reading. Very well done. So, as you can see, that's very easy to teach, very easy to learn. So, in 5 minutes, you can have students, I mean, yours will obviously not as advanced as you. It will take them a little bit longer, but within one lesson, they can be talking about any number that you happen to write on the board, they can say. And they feel very quite pleased with themselves. So that brings my presentation to an end. I'd like to say thank you very much to everybody for coming. It's not a very nice day to be out